I excelled. That's where I excelled in my life. I played football, but it was for a brief period of some 14 years. And I stopped in 1984. That's a very, very long time ago. 84 to now must be close to 30 years, if not more. So in the years after playing football,
That's 38 years.
38 years, wow. In the years after playing football,
37.
I have found that for me to succeed, I have to do things that are related to what people knew me very well for. I wanted to go into book publishing. I actually went into book publishing with an organization called Alpha Communication. And I thought that I could use my influence to get business in different states in the country, publicizing or publishing their handbooks, state handbooks, which was a fantastic idea. My colleague did a first one for a state in the north of Nigeria. And it was an excellent publication. It was a book which contained all the information you needed on the state, the history of the state, their mineral resources, their tourist centers, everything you needed to know. So my friends thought that I could use my influence to get other states in the north, where I knew several of the governors on a personal level, to get a contract for the book. The first person I went to was my very good friend. He was the governor of Plateau State, where I grew up, and he was a military officer. He was in Kaduna. I used to go to the north at the time, and we would just go party and drink and, do all sorts with these governors at that time. I was having fun, but in the process, I was looking for work, which is why I took this book project to this governor. I will not mention his name, was a military man. And, they ruled by fiat. So all he needed to do was say, yes, take the contract and, give him the contract and I will have a job. And I'll be going from state to state to publish their handbook and make a commission out of the job. However, that lunchtime, after I had submitted, I told him about, the job. I brought out the envelope and the document, the proposal to him. It was not a big contract at all. It was for around 240,000 naira, which was something he could just add on the spot there. He could just approve it and I would have a job and I would collect my commission and I would be living well. I could pay my children's fees and all that and all that. However, this man just told me, he said, look, Segun, you are my friend. We party together, we chase girls together, we drink together and so on. But if I am to take this, your proposal to Plateau State, definitely it will go to the offices in the civil service. It will go to my commissioner for information. That one will pass it on to this, the process of approving the job and all of that. They would observe that this job is going to Segun Odegbami. Segun Odegbami is not known as a publisher. He doesn't have records of having published, works like this. So it's awarding the contract to me just tells everybody, first of all, that yes, there's something beyond what the eye sees ordinarily, because that's not his forte. He says, so if he wanted to give me a job, the one that he could give me is not 240,000. He would give me a job at the time for millions of naira. And once the job is related to sports, construction of the stadium, buying of sports equipment, furnishing the gymnasium, doing anything around sports. He said there's not one person in the whole of Plateau State that would question why he would give it to an authority that is Segun Odegbami. Says, I should just take that and pocket it. Life lesson number one, that when you are very well known in something, you better stick with it. He didn't give me the job. He asked me to go and design a new stadium for Plateau. It was going to cost tens of, in fact, hundreds of millions of naira. And just in truth, just as he promised, I got my friends in Ibadan and they designed the stadium, a modern stadium, not too expensive. And he awarded the contract. Unfortunately, he didn't award the contract to me. He awarded it to his friends, his other friends. And I didn't get the job. But my idea is now what stands in Plateau State today as their stadium. So it's the product is an unfortunate thing, but the idea that he gave, that you stick with what people know you for, it makes for selling of an idea. It helps you in your line of business generally. If people know you are an authority on that business and you stick with it. So since I left the game, I have religiously stuck with the business I know, which is about sports. I qualified as an engineer, but my engineering practice lasted IT period, my youth service period, and less than 1 year after completion of my youth service, I was sacked because I was busy playing football for Nigeria. So the engineering aspect wouldn't work in my future life. That was what that meant. So I had to do something related to sports for the rest of my life. And that's what I have stuck to up till now. It started with my writing. As a football player in 1978, 1979, a friend lured me into writing. He saw that I had the gift of writing from my school days. I used to edit a magazine. I used to write poems. I was truly an art student. I used to illustrate. I could draw. I could do charcoal painting. So he encouraged me to start to write. So I started a column in 1978, February 10, 1978 or 79. I'm not sure which year now. I was a football player. And I became the only player in the whole of Africa that was writing and playing at the same time. And I was earning a pittance, but I was earning something from my writing. That I did for so many years, over a decade. And when I eventually stopped completely, I went fully into writing. I joined Sonny Ojagbase and we started complete sports, complete communications together and all that. That is history. In 1993, on the eve of the World Cup, because I had started a 3-minute segment on television, I was encouraged to do so by Fabio Olanipekun and Chris A.B. of television. I asked them one day when we were in Scotland about television and how someone could get into it privately. Sports television, not just television, something to do with sports. I saw Chuka Moma and Yinka Craig presenting a program called Sports Spectacular. And I took an interest and asked questions. And late Fabio Olanipekun said, Segun, you could do it. Start something. Be the first again. You are the first in the newspaper business. Why don't you be the first to do it in television? So I did some little research, spoke with Tunde Kilani, who was in TV and also in his private film business at the time. And they got me involved in a program on television called Sunday the Sunday show with Livy Ajuonuma. And they gave me 3-minute segment every week, just 3 minutes to do my sports roundup. On the first day, I was a jelly, but I did it. And gradually, I mastered it. And by 1993, when Nigeria was on the verge of qualifying for the Nations Cup and going to the World Cup, I had been completely immersed in television through the Sunday show. And I started envisioning my own show. So in that year, I went into television, did all the research I could, just asking questions in television house, and they guiding me, and Tunde Kilani being my consultant. He bought some equipment for me, a camera and this and that. And because I had that small tutelage in presentation, I was quick to grab onto production. And before you knew it, I had my own small private camera and I started to record. Aside from the major camera I bought, which I got crew to be just recording for me, just record. And we were doing production in Tunde Kilani's place. And eventually I bought my own equipment for production in my place. But I had my own camera. And all I needed for television was that camera. I was going everywhere, traveling the world with a small camera, and I was mastering the art of recording. Well, today, I believe I own the largest private library of film footages that concern sports in Nigeria. In fact, without question. And it started with me just having a small Sony camera, and I was taking pictures, I was recording videos, and I was keeping them, and they have become a library, a historic archival library of film footages. And it even went beyond the sports anyway, because in just carrying my camera around, people and places, all manner of interviews. I had friends in other arts, in music in particular. I started to record musicians, interviews with musicians. I did with artists, sculptures. I went to Yaba College of Tech, and all their lecturers who were big art teachers. We became friends. It was easy for me to make friends with them when I started recording them. And I started adding one program to another. And I now became the biggest independent producer of television programs in Nigeria. At the time, I had 5 programs on television, 5. And 4 of them were on network television. And I was earning stupendous amount of money because when on a 1-hour TV program, you had 8 minutes. The 1-hour program is actually 52 minutes. And you had the other 8 minutes for adverts and the montage and all that and all that. My program, Saturday Sports Special, became the only program on television that had all 8 minutes of adverts during a 1-hour program. And the money I was making, nobody else in Nigerian TV was making it. I'm saying so because, you know, we are on a private program here. But that was the truth of the matter at that time. I built up a massive television production studio. I had a crew. I had a giant caravan that 13 people could live inside it. And we started traversing the country. We covered all the sites for tourism and culture and whatever it is, you know, Obudu Cattle Ranch, Jos Riam Rock, Bida Beats, Ikogosi, something, all over Nigeria. We had a relationship with an airline, and they were flying my crew. Anywhere the airline went to Nigeria, they flew my crew. We interviewed people. We went and did stories, all manner of things. So I became a big television producer. And once you get into the media, you start to understand the power of the media and its tremendous power. You could abuse it, you could use it. I didn't set out to abuse, so I was using it. for mass communication. The media generally is for you to inform, educate, entertain, sell, propagate, drive an agenda, set an agenda. You know, it is tremendous power. So, and when you get into it, you are hooked. If you see a media man, once they get in, they never leave it, because that's the ultimate taste. The power, the taste of ultimate power, it's in the media. So television got me. However, because of the rapid development in the media technology, you had to have a transition from one format to another, and it was changing every 6 months. Something would change. We started with the 3-inch tapes in television. You went to U-matic tapes. You went to Betacam. You went to this. You went to that. You went to high 8. It was just changing, and every time it changed, you had to buy fresh equipment to transfer your tons of materials. The archival materials I had, they were in tons. They filled everywhere. And then I would transfer everything. Whilst I was trying to transfer them to the new format, another technology will come. So I will halt that and start on this again. And I spent a fortune just transiting from one new technology in the media to the other. And that affected my television production capacity. And in fact, dwindled my interest, because, you know, I left NTA, the cost of production became so high. I joined other TV stations and so on. But I was hooked with the media. So 20 years ago, when licenses were offered for private radio, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer that the biggest, some of the most powerful people in the world are people who control the media. And don't let me list names, but there are some who are really big. They are into print, they are into radio, electronics media, which is television and radio. Once you can control all of that, you can perform all manner of things. So if you want to set agenda in a third world country like us, like Nigeria, where we are in a situation where history is not taught in schools, where young people truly do not know the history of our country. They don't know where we are coming from because it is no longer taught. And, you know, there's a popular adage that if you don't know where you are coming from, how would you know where you are going? How would you know where to avoid the pitfalls, to maneuver through, you know, the minefields of life? You need history. You need history, a lot of history. But unfortunately, we've had several generations of young people now that have lost history completely. And it behoves on some of us who are still alive now to make sure that, you know, we try to revive history to some extent. So you need to drive an agenda of some sort. My own field is sports. I cannot just revive history. I can try to revive or be a part of the revival of sports history and let others do the rest. So, and to do that, you have to control the media. So when the idea of radio came up, I was one of those, I think the second batch of people that sought for a radio license. I wanted to explore that region of mass communication. And I thought it was going to be easy. I was going to use my name. And so I applied, I paid all the fees, I filled all the forms. And then the first batch of licenses came out, and my friend Brilla Sports got the only radio license for sports, along with others that got their own licenses. Mine was not one of them. And I followed up. The next director general, in fact, the director general at the time of the NBC was Danladi Bako, was my friend. So I rushed to Abuja to meet him and said, Danladi, come, I applied for radio license. And it's for sports. How can you not give me? You just gave us only one. And he just told me there and then that, no, they cannot give me radio license, particularly for Lagos, because it was new and they didn't want a proliferation of radio stations and so on and so forth. You know, I was not happy at all, but I left. And not too long after that, they removed him. They brought somebody else. And the person they brought was even closer to me because we were mates. We were both at the Polytechnic at the time. We knew each other very well. And he was the one, as an engineer, that designed my studio when I was applying for the radio license. He designed it. I paid him for it. He designed it. He helped me to submit it and all that and all that. He became the DG. And then I rushed to him. I was so happy. This time they had expanded the number of licenses they issued. So, and I went to him and I was shocked to the marrow when he just told me, said, Segun, it's not possible. These licenses are approved only by the president. And it has to, you must have political influence. You must have access to the president somehow, and not through me, he said, to get a radio license. It was as difficult as that at the time. You know, they were protecting licenses. And if you are not politically strong, you couldn't get one. So I had to wait the several years that he was there as DG. Then another came and I went again. Anyway, it took me 18 years of waiting for a new one to come and for me to follow up, because I wouldn't let my dream die. And I didn't want to start a radio station outside of Lagos, because it was clear to me that as the proliferation was going on, if you were not truly exclusive and you were not in the Lagos environment, it would be very, very difficult for you, particularly sports. So I was adamant that I wanted Lagos. Probably if I had, asked for somewhere outside of Lagos, maybe I would have gotten it. So that's another lesson. I hope people are taking lessons. I was just telling my story so that you know the highlights of it and the takeaways from the story. That to get a license at the time, it was purely political. You had to have direct access to the presidency, either through a governor, through a senator, through somebody. It just wasn't given to you on merit. If it was to be given to you on merit, I would have gotten it. And you have to have tremendous influence also, because I had influence, but even my own influence was not big enough. It took 18 years. So, but even at the 18th year, I don't want to go into the details of the trouble I created for everybody, the moral and crisis I created, because I raised issues seriously at a public forum. And I said, how can a Segun Odegbami in Nigeria be asking for a sports radio license? And there's only one radio station in the whole country, and I'm being denied. And there are hundreds of licenses just being collected left, right, and center. I believe somebody intervened. I don't know who it is. But my friend also was DG. And he was just to be sacked. So as a gesture, he knew they were going to sack him. As a gesture, you're going to remove him, not sack him. He submitted my license and it was approved. And the person who approved did not even know me. The president who approved did not know me personally. And I'm sure he didn't know that he was signing for me, but I got the license 2 years ago. So that is the process for you. The motivation I've told you, have to have a passion for it, and you have to have an agenda. Whether you want to entertain, you want to inform, you want to educate, you want to propagate, you want to sell, you want to market, you have a political agenda, you want whatever it is, you must be driven by that to go into it. And your starting point could be any of the mass communication platforms. And once you hit one, then you have an interest in another. Take Ruben Abati. You know, he was a writer. Then he went into television. Now he's a fantastic presenter, and so on and so on. There are so many that went through my own small school of journalism or broadcast, I would say, both, because so many even trained journalists have come to my institution, to my establishment, to work with me, to learn, and then to go on and to start their own. It is very essential to go through that tutelage, because there's nothing, you can't buy experience in the marketplace. No matter how much you write it down, you do this, do that. If you don't taste it, the beauty of it is in the tasting of it and the understanding the challenges that you confront along the way. Anyway, I got my license 2 years ago. I thought it was just going to be a piece of cake to set up the radio station within the next 3 or 4 months, but it wasn't to be. The first problem I had was natural. COVID-19 just struck the very month that I got the license. That was when COVID-19 started. And nobody understood. We didn't even know if we were going to survive as a people in the world. You know, the lockdowns, the lock-ins, you know, the fear of the disease and so on. Nobody was doing business, you know, so I couldn't do much at the time. And I lost all my consultancies, the things that I used to make some money to survive from. Businesses were going through a hard time. And the first things they cut off were, you know, things like what we do, sports sponsorships, sports properties, advertising and all that. So we lost all of that. So I've not earned an income in almost 2 years now. So I had to set up a radio station within that period. The good thing is that I now learned how to set up a radio station without having the resources to set it up. You know, that's an incredible lesson. I will want to teach people who are in the business world the art of establishing a radio station when you don't even have the resources to establish it. So it took me 18 months. And 2 months ago, I won't go into it because I need to be paid for those lessons. 2 months ago, the NBC came to inspect the facilities we have put on ground, which basically are, you need a place where you produce the radio programs, where you present the radio programs, and the last place is where you transmit the radio programs. So you needed a transmitter, you needed a mast, you needed a studio, recording studio, you needed a presentation studio, and of course you needed the administrative setup to drive an organization. So I learned the art again of setting up a radio station at minimum cost. I won't go into the cost with you, but with my training in improvisation, I have managed to put together that radio station. Instead of heavy padding, for example, for soundproofing, we have developed a new technique for absorbing sound in the studio. So when you go to our own studio, you won't find heavy soundproofing. They tell you that it is sacrosanct, that your studio must be soundproofed. We told them that we needed the ambience, we needed the horns, we needed the cries of the market women on the street to form part of the background of our sports studio. So we were doing everything that was normal. And in fact, I made it a philosophy. I said, we want to go to where nobody had gone. We want to achieve things that nobody had achieved. We want to take radio to a new place. So we must be destructive in our thinking. As we create, we are destroying the norms, because with 300 and something radio stations in the country, you have to stick out for you to get patronage. And to stick out, you must do things differently. So with that as our philosophy, we are creating programs that are going to be different. Our studio setup is different. Even the presentation is different. If you go into our radio studio now, we have 4 cameras. So it's like a TV studio, whereas it is a radio station. That enables us to not just have one phone that most stations use now, or one camera, just standing still and recording somebody with a microphone talking. We have 4 cameras that can take a long shot, a close-up, 2 shots, and all of that within our studio. And part of our studio set are live studios, like TV studios. For example, we have a stage where a band can play, where dancers can dance, where comedians can come and perform, and where there's an audience can also sit. And that's a radio station covered with television, because you have the technology now to combine your audio with live streaming of pictures of whatever you are doing. So the technology now is incredible. It's, when you have radio, it's not radio, it is radio and television. Every radio station that does not do the combination of sight and sound will find itself completely limited in the scope of audience that you can have. But if you can combine the two, your audience goes from your immediate environment. I have a radio station, it's an FM station. It covers only Abeokuta town. You know, it is a 2 kilowatt powered transmitter that we use. The distances can cover maybe no more than 50 kilometers radius from the transmitter. And that's very limiting. But you see, with technology, our location is in Abeokuta. But those in London can see us, can hear us, can even see pictures, not of us, but the issues that we are discussing, to just show the scope that that radio has gone. So we can be in the studio having a conversation. You can see me having the conversation with you. We are talking about Fela Anikulapo Kuti playing in Berlin. You cannot see me on your television sets if you are not working like me with NTA. I work with NTA now in the past 2 weeks, and we're experimenting. So when I mention Fela Anikulapo Kuti in Berlin, NTA, if they have the pictures, will actually show the pictures on NTA. And that's which NTA is showing pictures of, we can now transmit via online applications that will combine your audio with your video. So you are watching, you are listening to radio now on your phones. You are seeing the studio where people are presenting, and you are actually seeing materials that they are discussing about. So it's radio now is radio and television combined. It is the media that you use to reach the public that is different. Whereas those in their cars can only watch, can only listen on their radio sets. Those with telephone can see, can watch, and can listen. Those on television are limited, because if you are like us in partnership with a television station, you can hear us, you can see us on TV. So the world of radio is now, in fact, communication now is total, is multi-dimensional, and is multimedia. And radio provides the excellent platform to do that, because it is the cheapest of all of them. It is the cheapest. Radio is cheap compared to television. You can't even start to compare. When the business consultants worked on a budget plan for how much it will cost to set up the radio station, and they set a minimum cost. As soon as they gave me the cost, and I know my background in sports, which is about improvisation and using local facilities around me to do things, without even thinking, I said, look, just cut it in half. That's the figure I'm going to use. The money is so small that I don't need to get a loan from a bank. It's not that I won't get the loan, but I don't start by thinking that I needed a loan from a bank to run a radio station. So, and thanks be to God, in the next 2 weeks, we are going to start. I didn't borrow a dime from anybody or from any bank. The cost I said, I projected, even blindly, I've had to work to ensure I don't go beyond that limit. Yes, I'll be going that limit a little, but I tell you, it is something that is affordable. I didn't use the resources myself, which is the secret I'm going to give you, the last thing I'm going to talk about. I did not take my own resources and inject it into the project because that was not my philosophy. I wasn't going into it purely for business. I was going into it as a social contribution to sport and to my community. And the sport angle is the dissemination of information on sports. Entertain people with sports, get them the latest information, spread it out there, do competitions, do quizzes, combine it, fuse it with other aspects of entertainment, and do the best content, provide the best content that you possibly can. The social interaction with my community is to use my own small, unique formula. I wanted a few friends who trust in me, who believe in me, who are my friends, who have a little money to throw away, not throw away, who have a little money to invest, not on their own behalf, but on behalf of the next generation, on behalf of their children, to join me and my own children to establish a radio station that they will inherit. So what we have done is that parents, those that have small money, can just pay at one go. Take, that's my contribution. Put my son's name as the shareholder. He's a member of the board, and my son or my daughter will team up with you, and both of you will start, or all of you will start to run the business. So they are even passing on some inheritance to children. You don't put more than one child in the business, just one. It is in their name. They are part of running it. They are learning the job, and they are inheriting it. So I got a couple of friends, and the moment I sold it to them, people just started. Not many, just a few, to be able to fund the small radio project that has become huge now without the cost becoming huge. The radio project is massive, but not the cost of establishing it. The cost of funding it is unique because the shareholders, the list of shareholders, not many also, because the capital is very small, is the names are the children of every investor. It's been registered in Abuja. They are going to inherit it with my own children too. They are going to run it. We've given them a roadmap. It's young people that know how to create these days. They are the ones who are going to be bringing in all the content, doing the marketing and so on and so forth. They are all excited. They are crazy about it. So it is not money that you invest and you look, is it selling or not selling? No, it is money that some people use to buy a piece of land. Some use it to marry a wife. Some use it to drink and, chase women. It is that kind of money you put in and you don't even remember, so that it is not huge sum that becomes a burden for you. One person who is a big engineer, who is going to be a governor very soon, his investment is 250,000 naira every month. He's a rich man. Oh. He said, okay, instead of putting these 250,000 naira into my son's account every month, look, I won't pay the 5 million or 6 million that is his shareholding in the company, which is 10%. I'm just giving you these arbitrary figures. But the amount of money, he said, look, why not 250,000 every month? I pay it for a certain number of months, and that is his own shareholding. I say, if that's the way you want to do it, that's fine. We would find a way to use your 250,000 naira to offset certain bills within the general framework of how our operations will run. So I'm giving you this to just tell you that funding that project is no headache for anybody. It's no headache for me. All the investors, nobody has ever asked me, come, how did you spend it? Because the money is so small. But when you add everything together, it has built a radio station. That radio station doubles as a television station. That radio station, now today, it is heard all over the world during our test transmission. That radio station is having a simultaneous radio TV transmission. We are in collaboration with NTA. So watch next week, Thursday, when the Sports Parliament comes on air on NTA. It's coming on air in your radio sets. It's also on radio in your car. It is online on different media platforms we are creating. It's on Facebook, it's on WhatsApp, it's on this, it's on that. So you can listen. And we have our own website for the radio station. You can always tune in. And it's running 24/7, even now that we are still doing test transmission. And of course, there are other innovative things we did about power. Most radio stations complain about power, the cost of power. We have just gone straight to solar power. We're running our system with solar panels and inverter, solar panels, inverter system. We have a generator, of course, just in case everything breaks down. We still use public service as a third resort. But our first resort is solar energy. We have that in our studio. We are just establishing the one for the transmitter site because that is bigger and it's costing a little more money. But once we do it once, we have a 10-year guarantee. So I think I've spoken a lot. I've not spoken all of it. I've not spoken the business of radio itself, but I've just given you my own experiences. And I believe that the few of you who are on this show would have, one way or the other, benefited from my story. And if you didn't benefit, I'm sure you enjoyed it nevertheless. So, which is good. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, DG.
Wow.
Thank
Uncle
you.
Segun,
Thank you for this.
Uncle Segun, you have done marvelously well today.
Well done.
You have given us the narrative from the beginning to the tail end, but you kept the business side of it. And I'm assuring you, most of our speakers that are listening to you may be interested in the business part of it. They act on the game of setting up a radio station with minimal resources. That will be a course we take you up anytime. And I hope you charge us much because we are promoting startup and we want people to start thinking of what to set up to help promote Nigerian economy and to help promote whichever nation or location they have so that they can add values to the life of people. Now, I will throw it open so that our people can ask questions. I think the first person that is first raising up her hand is Princess MKO. She's writing, she's calling from, I think she's in Los Angeles. So Princess, you can go ahead.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, obviously.
All right, okay, thank you, Chief. That was awesome. Thank you so much for the stories. I'm a TV producer, so I do understand exactly what you're talking about. So, but I have some questions. First of all, I have a lot of questions. First of all, the painting in your background.
Brief so that other people too can ask questions.
It's brief questions, but they're just brief questions. The painting in your background, the two paintings in your background that we're looking at, did you paint that?
No.
No, you didn't do that. Okay.
My wife is an art collector. She's a serious art collector. And every piece in this place, this is like almost like a gallery for art. So
yeah.
Very serious collector. Yeah.
Lovely. So then secondly, the governor, your friend that did not give you the contract, did he tell you the reason, the Plateau State governor, did he tell you the reason why he didn't give you that contract?
He said because that is not my field.
Okay.
He did not give me the job. Oh, okay, the contract itself.
Yeah.
No. Well, his friends collected it. They did the job. I didn't do it. He didn't tell me. And I went to the place 42 times. I flew to Jos back and forth 42 times, chasing it. The person who was my friend, we used to go to party together and everything. Suddenly, I used to stay in government house. Suddenly, government house was no longer available. Suddenly, I couldn't see him again. Suddenly, because he had given the contract to his friends, the architects who designed it, who were my friends, actually went to court and they got their money. They got their money for designing it because it was their design they used. But I didn't get my own, I didn't get anything, so, which was fine anyway.
Wow. Okay. So thirdly, Are you still in touch with TK and Yinka Craig? Are you still in collaboration with them or not?
Oh yeah, well,
TK
Yinka
and
Craig
Yinka
died.
Craig.
Yeah, Yinka Craig died a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So rest in peace. But TK is around. If you watch Netflix, go to Netflix tonight, and you will see the latest movies that started yesterday. It's titled Anila.
Yes, Anila, yeah.
I acted in it now. Go to Netflix. You will see me inside there. It's a TK production.
Oh, yes, I know. Actually, it was premiered here like a month ago in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Oh, yeah, in Los Angeles. Yeah, by our friend Fatima Mohammed.
Yeah, in Los Angeles.
Right. Thank you, Princess. Okay. I will give the floor to other members, other participants.
Thank you.
I see Eric. I see Eric is here in the house.
Mr. Eric, go ahead. Otumba Eric Ayola.
Yes, I saw him there.
Yeah, go ahead, Otumba Eric.
Thank you so much.
Troublemaker. Otumba Eric. Eric Ayola is a troublemaker. The man wants to change the world. He wants to change the world.
We're working together, Chief. We're working together. It's no more a troublemaker.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Segun, thank you so much, Mathematical Sheget. I enjoyed the seminar, so to say. And Mr. Abdurrauf, thanks again for this lovely event. My question specifically in terms of the radio industry, Uncle Sheikh, how would one make profits in that venture? I know you have the social content, the giving back to the community, but equally as a businessman and to ensure the continuity of the project, how do you intend to, or how can one make profit from such a venture? Is it just simply by advertising? What's the business plan? Thank you.
Well, I will just be broad. We run the biggest sports publication in the whole of Africa. Our organization runs the biggest sports publication in the whole of Africa. In Nigeria's history, I ran the biggest TV sports programs for television, sports program. I ran it. And I ran it.
Parliament.
I'm not talking of just one program. I'm talking of series of TV programs. Production company for sports. I ran a TV production company for sports. And I told you at the time we had 5 programs on national television. And we were making money. The reason why we succeeded in our publication and on TV was because we were specialists. We are in a specialist area. We're in the media, but we are in sports media. And there's no proliferation. So if you wanted to do anything that has to do with sports and you wanted to go into the media and it is in the print, there's no way you will not come to us. That's why if you go to Okota now, our small organization that we started many years ago with Stoney, we have a big store, a big high-rise building. We have a printing press, 2 printing presses there. We have grown. We became the biggest in the whole of Africa. And as I told you, I was making money from TV. It was unbelievable at the time because I carved a niche. My area was sports. I don't know how the other people make their money in publications. If you say newspaper business, I have no idea. But if it's sports newspapers, I will tell you stories. TV, I don't know how people make their money in TV, adverts, but if it's sports, I can tell you how you make your money in sports. If Nigeria had qualified for the World Cup, I'll give you this an example. If Nigeria had qualified to go to Qatar in 2022, in November of 2022, if we had qualified, in fact, just that one alone. You see, when I opened my radio station on the 7th of June, and Nigeria had qualified to go to Qatar in November of 2022, in 2 months, I can give you a guarantee that I will recover the whole money I've used to set up the radio station in 2 months. Because I'm in a specialist area. This is sports. How many sports radio stations do you have in Nigeria? How many sports television stations do you have? We don't even have a sports TV station in Nigeria. We are patronizing Super Sports, other people. But our own, exclusively sports, you don't. So if you set up one, you are in business. You are enjoying a monopoly. So I cannot speak for radio. There are over 300 radio stations in Nigeria. I can only speak for the Eagle 7 Sports Radio. That is our own sports radio. We occupy a special niche. Our programs are special to us. We know our market. They exist already. And we have the products. When we don't have the product, then we run into trouble. By not going to Qatar in 2023, it's a huge loss for us. Huge loss. I cannot recover my money in 2 months anymore. That's the reality of it. And no businessman, no business plan could have projected how much money I would make if we had qualified for the World Cup. I'm the only one. It's my line, it's my field. I open my mouth when I want to go for the World Cup, for example, and I go to an organization. How do you think I cost how much I ask them for? It is, how do you cost Lionel Messi? You think that there's a special rate, you go and look at the rate and you put it there. That's the liberty that we enjoy in sports. I do a job for 5 million naira. I ask you, please pay me 5 million. The same job, Deji can go and he will ask for 500,000. If he says he wants 1 million, they will not even give him the job. But when I come there, I want 10 million. It is sports. Oh, Segun, that's what that governor said. That governor said, I will not give you this 240,000 naira job because you are not a publisher. If you come and that same job, if it is for sports and you call it 10 million, I will give you without thinking. So in our business of sports, in the sports business, when you put cost to things, it is how wide you can open your mouth. Okay. So when you are hearing of sponsorship deals, oh, they are this sponsorship for the African Cup of Nations, that sponsorship, there's no rate anywhere. There's no rate. You rate yourself and you go out there and they either buy it or they go somewhere else. So I cannot answer your question the way you have put it because I'm not into radio business. I'm into the sports radio.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I think
Mr. Abdul, just one very quick one, sir.
Job. He needs to come across so that we can talk to Chief. You can't do it online here. So I will call on Mr. Roti.
Just one very quick point, sir. Just one quick point. Just to say what I've gained from just what Uncle Segun just stated, that the branding matters, the brand. So the Segun Odegbami brand on its own actually matters and carries weight in terms of actually getting things through.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. In no time, I'm going to bring Segun Odegbami onto Think Startup for about 5 million, and it will be pursuing me to get it up and build up the brand. It's a gradual thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Aruge, please.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this platform. And I want to thank Chief Segun Odegbami for this opportunity of meeting a legend. I know this will translate to reality.
Mr. Rotimi, can you type it? Your network is bad.
The talks you just gave to us, much. Yeah, I don't know. Is it okay now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I have been thinking seriously about this logistics radio, logistics and transport radio, because I am in that sector. Logistics, transport, and supply chain. You know, it's a very wide sector without any specialized means of communication. And you just helped to demystify my thoughts. And I've been thinking like you in terms of specializing and hooking up to a sector that is neglected. And the test of that particular thought came through for me. Last week, I just came back from Abu Dhabi, where the ISOP, International Society for Substance Use, gathered for a world conference in Abu Dhabi for about a week. And the truth is that when I got there, the people there are all from psychiatric hospital, from prisons, from NDLEA, from different places. And when they asked me, Rotimi, okay, what about you? I say, I work in the logistics and transport sector. They say, what? How did you get here? I say, you know that my sector are the most consumer of substances. Good, that's one point. And my sector is also responsible for the movement of substance. So if you are talking about drug demand reduction, then I should be creating something that is very specialized for that sector. They began to shake their head and say that's good. So the US government is asking me to bring something for them on the types of presentation and all that. But let me come back to your side, sir. I would like to come into your area because there's also substance use in the sports sector. And then that is where I will appreciate if you can create one small space for me, and you see that I will never disappoint you.
You see that I'm applauding you. You see that I'm applauding you. I am applauding you because I like your thinking. I like your look. You are the man. It's not often that I find people like you. No, I'm serious. It's not often that I find people like you who think the way you have thought now. You know, I'll give you an example. I went to, maybe I've told Deji before, I went to the city of, I was in Nairobi, and I was part of a group, 5 people. They are all professors. I'm not a professor, but they were discussing, you know, remodeling the city of Mombasa. Mombasa is the a coastal town in Kenya, is their tourist destination. So they were redesigning the city, and they needed a sports consultant. As a town planners, professors from different universities planning and then they were looking for a sports. I didn't understand it until I got there, and I saw that, look, it was an eye-opener, my brother. The connection between town planning and sports. Hey, you will pay me for me to tell you. You will pay me. The environment and sport, the health of the citizens and sport. We have 18 million illiterates, children who should be in school that are not in Nigeria, 18 million. And that's on the conservative side, the minimum side. Do you know the relationship between that and sports? It goes on and on. You have to create a relationship. As you have created now, you see that transportation, you just mentioned transportation. I will take it far. I will put it in my program, guaranteeing you. We have to put it. We will create it. I see your mind is fertile. We will create it, and you will let people see the relationship. And you create a niche for yourself. That's creating a niche. You are opening the eyes of people to something that they will never see. People just sports. They don't know what sports. Sports, it is the fastest influencer of infrastructural development in the world. Why is China rushing to host the Olympic Games, rushing to host the Winter Games, do you know when, after the games are finished and gone, what is left on ground is a massive road network. It's a monorail system. It's hospitality facilities that you will not find anywhere. They have 1 million people have come into the place, and they have spent so much money. It is their health facilities put in place. I beg. Well done. I like that question. And I guarantee you, when you are ready, just from anywhere in the world, you see, you don't have to be in Nigeria to be part of, you see, that's the good thing.
Yeah, just get in touch with people that we talk to on your behalf.
We have a studio in Atlanta. We have a studio in Detroit. We have a studio in London. And all of them will be feeding us. The technology is, the world is higher. Oh. Anyway, leave it. You have to pay me. Deji, you've taken all my time.
Yeah, so I know. Very valuable time.
I'm enjoying it. That's why I need to go.
Because I know you love social investment. This is a social investment, and the return will come in no time. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, okay. Let me apologize that I'm eating nuts. It's just for my health.
No, you are free, sir. You are free. Rotimi again. Any other question for Chief before he leaves us? He has his precious time. He has been so wonderful today. He has made an impact in this project. He was part of our pioneer speaker when we started. When I troubled him, he said, "What are you trying to do?" But I think today he might have seen what I'm trying to do, because Think Startup has become a tag. It has become a name across the globe. Thank you so much. Is anybody again?
Yes, I was actually, hello?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Taufik.
While he was speaking, and while Mr. Eric too was speaking, I was trying to see how taking care of the sports people's skin, that's the skin aspect of their health, taking care of that aspect through cosmetics and helping them to provide very quality things that they would use. I've been thinking of how that can also be in the value chain. And while he's speaking, I also see that, wow, this is beautiful, because I mean, who wants to play ball with someone whose skin is filled with eczema? Who wants to play football and everybody sweating, touching each other? But when you have a very good product like ours, or when we see how we can do some partnership to take care of these people, their skin, their hair, and all that, I believe that the AfriLewa can be in the value chain. That was what I was just trying to think through all the discussion going on.
You know what I would say? You have,
Yes,
you have just hit the nail on the head. You
Oh,
are
I'm
brilliant.
grateful.
You are brilliant. Do you know one of the most difficult problems that sportsmen have is eczema? One of the most difficult, because you see the sweat, the change of, but these days, you know, it's less. In those days, we wore the same jerseys. Every week, you will wear this, they will wash it, somebody else will wear this. Eczema was spreading, another skin issues. Spreading like it's still there because of the very nature of our sport. We wear the same bibs, even now that we don't wear the same jerseys, we wear the same bibs, you end up with all manner of skin issues. And these things persist. I had eczema too. It took me decades to get rid of. And even up till now, I still use a cream permanently. Because the moment you stop, it appears again. You see, so those are issues that every sports person thinks of. And the sports market is huge. It's not even the sports market. Everybody that needs exercise is medicine. It's the first prescription for any ailment in the world. The first exercise, be fit. If you are fit, any ailment you have will heal quicker. So they recommend that there's a minimum amount of physical activity every human being must do every day. Exercise. There's a minimum. And that's what we call active transport. That's the terminology. Active, you must cover a certain minimum physical activity, part of your health. I am the African champion or ambassador for Exercise is Medicine. That's a US organization. So we do exercise.
Okay. Otumba Jafar.
You are right on point. Your skin products, wow, you must advertise it. Make the link, and you have the whole sports planet. Just like
already in the park.
Okay, Otumba Jafar, go ahead.
I'll get to you through Mr. Deji, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Otumba Jafar. Otumba Jafar,
Good afternoon, Chief. Good afternoon, Chief Segun and the moderator. I hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Good afternoon. My name is Otumba Jafar, the Chairman, CEO, African British Group. My growing up as a young adult, I was your major fan. And the way you made Nigeria proud nationally and globally in the sports. And we are so thrilled. In the last 30 years, I've been in the UK, and every time I still try to compare you with the major sports men and women that we have here, but there's still nothing like you, the mathematical Segun Odegbami. When all hopes are lost on football,
Thank you.
you bring so much hope to us. Thank you so much. I am glad to have an opportunity to speak to you. And thank you, Moderator DG. My contributions are, I'm into business investment summits. Our group is divided into two, African British charity organization to encourage Nigerians in the diaspora to come home and not see what is wrong with Nigeria, but to be part of what is going on in Nigeria. And the other part of the group is African British Consulting and Investment Company. I'm trying to add value where we can have African sports like your radio station in conferences and exhibitions, where as we go all over the whole world showcasing the beauty and the leadership of Africa, because Africa is the future, we want to take our sports out as well along. And we are looking at a situation where into the next future, we are going to have a league that is possibly going to be next to the European League. So my submission is how we can add value to the beautiful world which our uncle is currently engaging, and do sports exhibition and conferences pari passu with the investment that we are doing. In that way, our foreign direct investor will have a multifaceted of investment, not just in real production, but in social investment as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jafaru. I don't know what to add, except to say, well, you said that Africa is the future. Well, are you Yoruba? I'm sorry that if you are Yoruba.
I'm from out here, those states.
Okay, yeah, of course, now we are the same. You see, unfortunately, we don't appreciate who we really are. We don't appreciate where we're coming from, our history. When you go deep into the history of civilizations, you will find that Africa was the past and Africa is going to be the future. It's not just Africa is the future. Africa was the past and Africa is going to be the future. Because when you say Africa, you're also talking of the Yoruba race. The Yoruba race. The Yoruba race had a civilization that is very rich, that is very deep, that is very sophisticated, that has fed even the Western world with so much unacknowledged and unappreciated. But we know this is not the platform for it. So you are absolutely right. Look, the biggest assembly of Africans and Black people in the world happened in Nigeria. Happened in Nigeria in 1977. 58 countries, people from 58 countries came to Nigeria. About 52 of them were from Africa. The others were our diasporan brothers in Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago and so on and so forth. And we had the greatest assembly of Black people here in Nigeria. It came for dance, for poetry, for literature, for culture, for drums, for all of those things, celebrating our art and culture. But on the side, they had an intellectual colloquium. The colloquium was for business people like you, from academics, the people from academia, people in politics, people, from all over, to come and start to chart a new course for the Black person and Africans in the world. We were not competing with anybody else. We were not fighting with anybody else. But because we know that there can never be unity between the races in the world, there can never be. So we're saying, let us create our own path. Let us earn our own respect. Let us earn dignity. And we can only do that by working with ourselves and collaborating, particularly in the area of business and investment, which the African Business Consulting and Investment Organization or whatever fits into. We are looking for areas of collaboration, not with individuals, but with the group. You see, we have to together. We have to collaborate. We have to do all of those things. Otherwise, we'll be sustaining what they want from us. Fractionalization. We are so fractionalized. We are thinking this one comes from here, that one comes from there. This one, they have broken us up into so many pieces. And once you are broken up, you cannot be strong. So we must come and collaborate as Blacks and Africans and work with the others to earn our own respect and our own place in the world. Eric Ayola will tell you, this is the vision that the Yorubas had. And unfortunately, we have lost that focus. We have lost the vision. We don't even know where we are going when we don't remember where we are coming from. So I like what you are doing in the area of investment. I am welcome to share my own views. I'm not a business person, so I'm not an expert in the area of business, but I'm ready to work with you, you know, so that we can see how this collaboration will come in. You can work with all Black people around the world. If we can come together, that's the great. We are going to create a new Black consciousness and civilization and economy in the world that will make us now equal partners with the rest of the world. We have to have that collaboration. And I'm glad at what you are doing. Please, I wish you the best of luck. I know I've spoken out of turn, but when you just mentioned it, I felt I should add that part of it too.
Uncle Segun, thank you so much today. When I was inviting you, you said you're not going to spend more than 1 hour. I can tell you, you have spent more than 1 hour, and you have been so impactful and adding value to a lot of us on this platform today. And I can assure you, some of the people that have raised some concerns in terms of the one on logistics and the one on the creams for the sport, we're going to see how we can collaborate and work on them. And likewise, the African business group that came up to tell us about what they intend to do. We love a situation where by when they are set to do their summit, you'll be given a special place in that summit to come and talk about your radio stations and probably give us an hint about African opportunity. We thank you so much for today, and we'll continue to thank you because we know you will never leave us. At any point in time, we spark on you again, we get you on board because you are so passionate about the way you deliver your narrative. Is quite different. It's a storyline that can never be finished. Thank you so much, sir. May God Almighty continue to be with you.
Thank you very much for having me. I thank you all for listening to me. I'm sorry if I've offended any sensibilities. So please, that's just me. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And our women on the platform today. We thank you.
Thank you for putting this together, sir.
We'll wait another event coming up on startup opportunities in agriculture, which is our own in Africa.